Alaska. Vast, wild, empty. It takes a pioneering personality to want to call this land home. That pioneering spirit was personified in four-time Iditarod champion Susan Butcher. Susan always felt a force luring her north to live deep in the Alaskan wilderness while teaching herself dog mushing.
From early on, I did not like the city. I knew I wanted to live in the wilderness. I had spent a lot of my life feeling like I was born in the wrong century. I had wanted to be a pioneer, going somewhere where no one had ever been before. And it was finally when I started winning the Iditarod and making a difference and really being a pioneer that I realized that I was born at the exact right time and to do the exact right thing.
The right time indeed. Susan became an Iditarod champion, mother of two, and a two-time conqueror of Mount McKinley, and the only person to ever take a dog team with her to the top. Susan flourished in her adopted land. People who've heard the same calling have developed an intense love for Alaska, for adventure. Certainly living here takes a commitment to deal with cold, solitude, and winter darkness, and for those who move here, it can be a struggle to live so far from family and friends. It's the kind of place where you come to rely on your dogs as much as they do on you. That's certainly the kind of life Susan Butcher made for herself and her dog teams, the workhorses who led her to victory and became a part of her family. She raised them from puppies and transformed them into champions.
When I first came up here to Alaska, I bought 3 dogs and I moved out into the Wrangell Mountains. I lived 150 miles from the closest road, 50 miles away from my closest neighbor, and started teaching myself how to mush dogs. And it was utopia out there. And I was out in the bush for 3 years, and then I came out and I ran my first Iditarod. My plan was to run it 1 time, and I got hooked. And then I ran it 17 times in a row.
Out on the windswept tundra of the Iditarod sled dog race, it takes a trust in yourself and your dog team just to survive. The race twists its way from Anchorage to Nome through 1,150 sleep-deprived miles of remote, unforgiving terrain, and it is an achievement just to finish. Susan ran this ultimate endurance challenge 18 times and came out on top in 4 of them. Mention her name, and many form romanticized visions of what it's like to live in a cabin in the wilderness. Susan would tell you that the reality is also one of constant hard work. In many ways, it's a throwback to an earlier century.
You know, when you live out in the bush and you live off the land and you have to hunt all your own food and you have to cut by hand, not with a chainsaw, all your wood to burn to keep yourself warm, and it gets to be 50 and 60 below, you spend all day working. There is no Thoreau, sit around and meditate about your belly button time. There is serious survival out there.
The wilderness certainly gave Susan strength. In December 2005, she was diagnosed with leukemia and fought it with the same intensity she gave to everything. But the disease was too strong. She passed away in August 2006. For her Alaskan friends and her fans around the world, the talents, vivacity, and presence of this extraordinary woman are sorely missed.
I'm standing in front of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which is a very, very popular tourist attraction, about 5 miles out of town. Very short drive. The pipeline is 800 miles long. It's underground, it's above ground. It goes all the way from Prudhoe Bay, all the way down and then over to Valdez. And the pipeline is raised above ground because of permafrost and also for animal crossings and migration trails. So these supports, there's actually 78,000 of these for the course of the pipeline. The reason that's there right here, this isn't actually bolted down from the pipeline to this unit, is for any sort of changes in the climate, any sort of earthquake, other natural instances where the pipeline would actually shift. It prevents it from having any damage sustained to it. The fins up there help regulate the temperature, and if the fins weren't there, it would actually, the permafrost would melt, which is essentially ice under the ground. It really is truly an engineering feat. It's absolutely amazing. So since it's just a short drive out of Fairbanks, the pipeline is a must-see for all Fairbanks visitors. It's absolutely stunning, beautiful here. It smells so fantastic. Another great spot in Fairbanks is the Georgeson Botanical Gardens. It was begun in 1989 and serves as a research and education spot. They wanted to see what could grow in the interior and how well it would grow and what were the means that they would be able to substantiate the growth. We get 20+ hours of sunlight a day, so the vegetables, especially this cabbage, really grow quite a bit bigger. They'll harvest these vegetables, they will test them, and then I suppose they'll make a bunch of coleslaw. Pretty. It's like a field of happiness. This is all different varieties of mint. And there's an apple mint, banana mint, a chocolate mint. It's so cool. I think this must have taken forever to build. I wonder how they did this. Admission here is by donation and helps fund research. Totally totally worth all the beautiful sights, smells, and sounds of the Georgeson Botanical Garden.
We work from the center of the sun to the center of the earth. We do science that lies in that pathway. Coming out of the sun, there is something that has the term solar wind. Solar wind actually is a sheet of particles that come out around about the equator of the sun. Then some of these particles get inside Earth's magnetic boundary, and they cause the atmosphere to be excited through collisions, and then we get these colors. We get green from oxygen, and we get purple from nitrogen. It is in a circle around the North Pole and the South Pole, somewhere within the range of possible sight from Fairbanks. So if it's a clear night, then you very often will see the aurora. So if you want to come and see the aurora in Fairbanks, it's good to be here when it's dark, and that means not the summertime. Most of our visitors come in the summer and they want to see the aurora, but it is too bright. March has a good record for clear weather. That's a good time to come and see the aurora, by the way.